Hi, I'm Lisa,
And I'm Ray.
and you're listening to.
This Midlife Hustle.
And today we're going to talk about how we've been together for 30 plus years.
Yeah, and remember, we're trying this new format. No
Yep.
editing.
No editing.
It's raw.
Yeah.
I hope we don't end up with a lot of pauses this week. We did pretty good last week.
Yeah.
First thing I wanted to talk about, how we've been together for 30 years. But the first thing I wanted to talk about is why we didn't record last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to tell our audience what happened last week that kept us from recording?
I broke his computer. I don't know how I did it, but I used his side to do a shoppable content for TikTok, and I don't know how, but I broke his computer.
I think we figured it out. I think the earpiece that I had resting over the top had made its way to near the joint of the top, and then the top came down because when I came in here, the entire lid of the computer was like jacked off and broken and cracked. So I had to literally disassemble the whole laptop, get special plastic repair bonding stuff, and reattach the lid to the computer.
I really don't know how I did that. I remember coming in, the computer was half up. When I left, I could have swore it was half up. So I have no idea how I
don't think
did
you did it intentionally. You must have bumped it or something.
Of course I didn't do it intentionally.
No, I'm saying I don't think you actually moved something
knowingly,
moved it or anything. I think you probably just bumped it or something like that. Or
Mm.
just this thing, the lid is heavy. If you just touch it the wrong way, sometimes over time, the gravity will just slowly bring it down. So let's use that as an example of how we've been married for 30 years. What was my first reaction when I came in to talk about you?
I was in bed. Actually, I had just gone to bed, and he walks in and he goes, I just want you to know that I love you, and this is just a material thing. And I'm thinking he's going to ask me to buy something, but it wasn't. He was telling me how I broke his very expensive computer.
Yeah. I think I said something like, I love you more than my things.
Yeah.
But what the hell happened?
Yeah. And I was complete shock because I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah. I didn't even touch anything.
I was upset because I had a lot that I wanted to do, and this added one more thing that wasn't an easy thing to resolve.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we had the, other things happen in the week. Then we had the Hurricane Milton come along, and we had to do prep for that.
Yeah.
So we planned originally on trying to record like Monday or Tuesday after I fixed the computer, and then we couldn't because Milton came along, and then we had to end up prepping for Milton. Wednesday and Thursday, and now we're recording on Friday, just getting back together or getting things back together online. Let's talk about this. So 30 years. Mm-hmm. How the hell have we been married for 30 years?
I really don't. I really don't. Because we've had some really bumpy road. And
we say that, but compared to other people I've heard stories from, we've never had to deal with issues of infidelity.
No cheating, none of that. But it was just
no major incidents like that. But have we had emotional moments that have felt, rough? And
we're both babies of the family, so we get what we want, and then we meet each other, and it was kind of like, it was hard. It was hard.
Yeah. Yeah. If we go back far enough, what were some of the, what do you think were some of the hardest moments in our marriage? I have some moments that I feel like embarrassed about when we first got married, like I just wasn't really adulting well.
No.
I still had anger issues of my own to deal with.
Yeah.
Our love always brought us together. I always, loved you and all that, but I just had some moments that I wish I can take back,
Yeah. The heated arguments, I mean, they were really heated. And the thing is like, we're both very stubborn people.
Yeah.
Like, we're right no matter what. Both of us used to have that mentality. I sometimes have to correct myself because sometimes I still kind of like,
Yeah. I know we're trying to do this podcast kind of raw and unscripted now. We literally did not prepare a script for this. We just said, let's talk about this topic and let's get into it.
Yeah.
So that comes with some risks, but I want to ask you to go back and tell me like what's a moment that sticks in your mind, like a heated argument that really sticks with you.
I think our reception, not our wedding, our reception.
Oh, that's going way back.
That's going way
back. All right. Let's get into this. All right. That's an old wound then.
Yeah.
Right. Tell me.
When your friend came up to me and just said he only married you for college money.
I didn't even do that to you. That was somebody else.
Yeah. But he was like your best friend. So of course I believed him.
Yeah.
I mean, why would he lie?
Yeah. I think
But the way it was like the way why we were getting married was to help get room and board.
no,
So it was kind
when
of like,
anybody ever asked me, why I got married so young, it was, the reason we got married young, the reason we got married right away was having to do with college. But the fact that I wanted to marry you and I was head over heels in love with you, that didn't change.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Like I've always told you, like the minute I don't know, I can't explain if you haven't had this feeling before. I don't know how to explain it to somebody, but I kind of thought I was in love previously. But like when I remember the days you walked down the stairs from, your sister's house and just felt like there was this aura around you. It was like you were glowing in my eyes. I know it sounds silly, but that's how I feel. I remember that day and those checkered pants and your hair done up in that 80s style with probably tons of Aquanet or
Yep.
something.
Yep. Yeah.
But I just remember,
young.
I remember it's like that moment is stuck in my head,
Yeah. We were both very young. I was like 16.
We got married as soon as you turned 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we met at 16 and we met because I was grounded.
And I didn't know you were 16. Right?
I never lied, but you never asked neither. But
Right.
yeah, and actually your mother lied to you because she knew I was 16 because I was grounded.
I think if I remember right, I was 19 going on 20 and you were 16 going on 17.
Yeah.
And I just, in my mind, as somebody who was about to be a 20-year-old, I wouldn't have dated a 17-year-old or something had I known.
Yeah.
But I didn't come up for a while.
Yeah. And I honestly didn't take it seriously, but your mom was pretty.
Yeah. I mean, it's only, quote unquote, it's only 3 years difference.
Yeah.
So it's not a big deal as time goes forward, but I'm glad anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's an old wound. Yeah. And I remember you carried that for a while because that would come up in arguments and stuff. And it wasn't even something I did, but you would take it out on me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. For me, an argument, there's a couple that I remember. I feel so embarrassed for the time we had a family function and I got so angry. Like I just was seeing red. And I needed to remove myself from the situation. And we weren't even married yet, right? We're still dating. We're at my brother's house, if you remember this incident.
Oh, yeah.
And I got so angry, I just got up and left and drove away. And there you were, left with my family and my brothers at my brother's house at a family function.
It was so funny because your brother was like, I don't know, why are you with them? It was so funny. It was so funny. Yeah. Your brother said that maybe twice to me.
Yeah. Yeah, because like I said, I had a lot of good moments, but my bad moments were intense bad moments, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there was only a couple of intense. God, some of them you're bringing up. I mean, I remember that one, but
I'm just telling you because it's a memory locked in my brain. Like it's when you finally grow up and you come out of that haze and realize what you did, I am perpetually embarrassed about it. I hate thinking about it because I don't like the person I was then.
Mm-hmm.
And when and it's kind of like a true growth moment. Like that moment needed to happen for me to realize what I did to the person I loved and be perpetually embarrassed and haunted by it. That needed to happen to ground me in the future,
Yeah.
But it's with me and it stays with me. So that's why I remember that one.
The other one was when my sister had a farm and she lived like way up north. And I kept telling him, there was one time he was dropping me off at home and I kept telling you, the roads are slick, and you were going too fast. And then we had a spin out and then you were so angry. And then he blamed me when I was trying to tell his ass that it's windy roads. You have to be careful. And they don't sand up there until the very last bit of it. Like it's almost like they wait until the snow falls completely to...
Yeah, it's not worth cleaning the roads before.
Because it's such a rural country area.
Yeah.
And you got very upset. That moment, because he dropped me off and we weren't talking in that moment. And the neighbors knew me and they were like, "Hey, Lisa, what's going on? Da, 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 da. Let me push your car out." I mean, and he is just the most angry person. And I was embarrassed because these neighbors were like so nice.
Mm-hmm.
And so they got us out. You dropped me off.
I don't remember being mean to them though, right?
Not to them, to me. You were
right.
like such an
privately,
SOB.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course, because the person I was then, I couldn't have possibly been the reason for any mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not me now.
No.
I remember another argument we got in. I don't even remember the argument. I remember the consequences. I was at work trying to hold it together And I don't know if you remember the history or the background of this, but like, I think I misheard you that you said that you actually said you were leaving me. But I think you just said you're staying with your sister for a day or something. But I thought you were leaving me, and I was at work trying to hold it together, and I had to leave work early because the thought of you and I kind of breaking up just I was about to cry at work, basically.
Yeah.
And I had to leave and come home. And you were like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, I just we can't leave. And I started like, whatever. I think I started crying and telling you we couldn't be breaking up. And you're like, "That's not what I said though."
Yeah.
And I just remember, do you remember what led to that? What was going on?
I can't
I
remember.
don't even think we were arguing that bad. I just think like that came out of the blue
I
or
needed
something.
a break.
Yeah. From the kids. We raised 3 under 3.
Yeah.
That was always difficult.
And I was taking the kids with me. I think maybe that's what I have no idea, but I remember you coming home and I was like, I'm just going to go there because I need help with the kids and you were busy. But
yeah, and I was at work for like hours, destroyed, trying to hold it together, thinking that you were leaving me.
Yeah, no.
Like my life is destroyed. What am I going to do? And it was just something I misunderstood.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
I can't think of what were the other ones. I mean, I really can't.
Well, we don't have to focus on the negative. I guess the reason I was bringing it up at all is like how, like by the grace of God or anything else. I mean, I remember that even through the, the worst arguments we've ever had, what always brought us together is like, wait a minute, this is the person I love. Why am I doing this to them? Let's try to bring it down a notch. And that evolution, luckily, got better and better and better over years as I recognized, and I think you also recognized that, what am I doing here? We were able to bring it down. And that also takes trust, because until you get to the point where you realize this other person loves me and trusts me, like it takes the trust to understand, like to be vulnerable to the other person because you know that they love you and they know that even any mistake is coming out of maybe not out of a place of love, but wouldn't intentionally hurt you. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then trying to reframe your mind into that, like, all right, this person's not intentionally trying to hurt me. I know she loves me.
Yeah.
But that's again why I feel lucky in our marriage, because we've never had to deal with things like lying and cheating to each other.
No.
Like we're honest with each other, and sometimes that causes arguments.
Right.
We've never had to worry about, going, like having desires outside the marriage or anything like that.
No.
So I feel lucky that that we're in that situation in the first place.
Yeah. My sister, it was so funny because my sister recently, because we're both talking about like, because just like our relationship, you pay the bills, you do all that. Like I know what comes in and what goes out, but it's like I don't take time to focus. And it was I don't know why she asked me this, but she was like, "Would you ever marry again?" And I was like, "Hell no, one and done. I am built for
well,
one and done."
Well, it is, the vows are until death do you part. Yeah. So you are free to marry.
I will be the dog lady. No.
I worry more about, we don't have to get into that, but I worry more about you just not knowing all the things.
Right.
All the accounts.
That's what she was saying. She was like, "What are you going to," it was so funny because I told her, I said, he gave me access to all passwords. So all I got to do is call one of our kids who knows how to navigate through that mind of yours. And we do have one child that they can all navigate through it. It's just who's going to get frustrated with me.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping none of them do, but I mean, I do ask like some really silly questions, but but yeah, we worked it all always together. We've never like taken time apart neither. So
if you had to, if we break our life up into phases, right? I'm just trying to think about this. Again, we're on the fly. None of this is scripted. If you look at our life, like analytically, the phases we've gone through, and we've evolved as people individually and in our relationship over these phases. Like I'm just talking about our relationship, not us individually, because I've evolved a bunch, you've evolved a bunch. We had, when we first met, like the dating period, then getting married, college years, having children, and then there's like, that's a whole sub phase of itself, because as the kids go through phases, we go through phases together.
Yeah.
And since we had 3 under 3, we at least we had the kind of the benefit also the detriment that they weren't staggered much. Like they were all within 4 years of each other, right? Did I get that math right?
Because 1, 2, and
so they're within 4 years of each other
and
because we had
3.
one, another one, skip a year when we had the miscarriage, and then Lulu.
Yeah.
So so they kind of went through phases somewhat together. And then when finally they all left the house, we went through empty nesting.
Yeah, I had a little bit of it because my identity at that point was being a mom, and I wasn't. I was like, "What are we going to talk about?" and stuff like that. We've always. That was the other thing that we made it through. We always had someone besides our children living with us.
Well, that's what. Let me break. I'm going to go through those phases now and figure out like what was the key to our survival for these 30 years. So let's save that for a minute. Put a pin in that for just a minute, because then I think now we're in the phase of like, I think we would call this, we're calling the name of the show midlife hustle. Like past, I'm 50 now, so or I'm older. I'm over 50 now. I meant to say. So and I think we're still evolving, right? We still have more phases to go through, but let's still break that down. Like, I mean, all right, obviously, let's kind of fast forward through the early parts and say once we got married. When we were in, when I was going to college and you worked to pay the bills, and I went through college.
Oh my God, I worked 3 jobs, slept in the car. It was terrible.
Plus I had loans and stuff that I took out of college to be able to, pay for tuition and room and board basically. That was, but how did we get by then?
We never saw each other.
Right. I think that was the key.
We never
like you
saw
did
each
your
other.
thing. Well, we did. We saw each other at night, but it was tough because at night, I was basically studying, or sometimes I had to go on campus and do projects or access to labs. Like computers weren't as accessible as they were today. So I had to go into the computer engineering lab or whatever, electrical engineering lab, computer science projects and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Or functions, for
And
tests.
I was sleeping.
Yeah.
Or cleaning up the house, whatever.
Or working.
Oh, yeah.
So those were the college days, and then I eventually got an internship that led to a full-time job at Nortel.
Yep.
And then we had some more money coming in, and we kind of shifted gears at that point.
Yeah.
You still worked a little bit.
Yeah, I still worked a little bit, and then you got your first job, and I had just graduated cosmetology school.
No, I think I think the way that timeline, if I remember right, after I got the job and we went to a new apartment because we didn't need to be in the dorms anymore.
Right.
Then you left. I basically said, "Look, we can now survive. Like your years are over now. Now I can provide for us, right?"
Yeah.
And then so you quit those kind of part-time jobs you had, and I said, "Now's the time to focus on you and what you want to do with your future."
Yeah.
You went to cosmetology school.
Yep.
Yeah, and then you didn't graduate cosmetology at that point because you had that
I had allergic
incident.
reaction. And come to find out, like a couple of weeks later, we found out that I was pregnant. So we don't know, like they tested to see if I was pregnant then, because all of a sudden I was in school doing fine. I was like almost graduating. And then that happened. And I wasn't pregnant, but I remember a few weeks later.
Yeah, and that scared us because we didn't want any chemicals or anything like that to affect the baby or anything like that.
Yeah. So I stopped until our kids didn't need me anymore.
And pretty much from that point on, you were...
I mean, they needed me, but like they were in school.
Yeah.
Or preschool.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. From that point on, you'd basically been a
stay-at-home mom.
Yeah, stay-at-home mom. And, taking care of everything around the house, et cetera.
Yep.
Yeah. So what kept us together then, there was just the missing... I mean, I guess you have to start with love. I think that's a given.
Yeah.
We always loved each other.
We always loved each other.
That, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But the arguments back then were different, right?
Yeah.
Of course, you go through the honeymoon period.
Yep.
There's this thing. What is it? The 4-year or 7-year itch or something? I never felt like that really. We had different types of arguments as the kids got older. Things get stressful.
Yeah.
But never got we never had the urge to leave each other or anything.
No. Mm-mm.
So maybe I wonder if part of that is because of our kind of like a combination of cultural background and religious beliefs. You come from Portuguese, I come from Italian. Yeah. Just not the way things are done. No, but I it never entered my stream of consciousness. It wasn't like I did it because of that.
I had siblings that divorced. So I mean, my parents didn't, but I had siblings that divorced and stuff, but I don't know what their situation was. Yeah. I mean, okay, I do know situation, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying it never it never into my stream of conscious did it enter to say like, oh, because of my religion or because of my parents or background or family, that we have to stay together. Like that didn't enter my stream of conscious ever.
And no one can ever say I married because I was pregnant or I married for money because this man was broke as broke can be.
When we first met. Yep. Didn't come from much, but we built ourselves up quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I can't, it's been so long, you know, they say time heals wounds. I remember having some bad arguments. I just don't remember what they are anymore.
I don't either.
In those days.
Yeah. It was over a lot of silly stuff, but I really can't remember. I think a lot of my arguments, I do remember had it revolved around your friends because you were the only one of your friend group that was married, and they always tried to. I mean, come on, you have friends that still cheat and stuff like that to this day.
Yeah, there was. I remember whether they're watching this or not. I mean, I probably never told them this, but there was a time where they had an event to come to in Rochester and slept over at our house. You were really pissed about that.
Yeah,
because I was like, no, these are my like lifetime friends. You have to. I'm giving them a place to stay. I can't just. You know, they're asking my help. I'm going to give them my help. And
I do think that was the first time that I'm like, you know what? I think I'm done with you.
Yeah.
I really do. I think that was the one time that I'm like, I'm done. Because you went totally against what I believed in and stuff like that. And especially what happened while they were there. Like,
it had nothing to do with me.
No, it had nothing to do with you, but it's a respect thing.
Right.
Like, there's, you know, I wish I had a male friend that would just walk around in his underwear.
Right. That wasn't my, like I said, I had nothing to do with that. And
I know pretty damn sure that you'd be pissed if I had a male friend who walked around in Speedos.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you would have been livid. You would have been livid.
Back then? Yeah.
Hell yeah, back then.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
You would have been. So I
didn't see any of that. I was just, my focus was just like, as like they were, you know, lifelong friends and I wanted to help them at the time. But so there was some growing through that argument. I just realized how important it was. And I realized after that argument, like that never happened again in our marriage.
Absolutely not. Because I mean, no, it didn't.
It did cause a big argument. But one of the things that came out of it for me, personal growth, was like realizing that I took complete control away from you in your own household. I mean, that's not just my household. It's your household.
Yeah.
And you took that away from you entirely.
And let me just say 100%, because I worked in upstate New York. One of the times we moved back, I worked at a salon and we went out because one of the stylists was married to your friend, and we went out to the casino.
Yeah. Don't give, I know where you're going with this. Don't give details.
I am not giving no names, but let's just say those people are your friends, so-called friends, are still not growing because those people, that was just a few years ago, still cheating.
The book matched the cover.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saw it with my own eyes. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Walked in. Saw it with my own eyes.
I couldn't believe that story.
Visualize what I saw. And 3 other stylists. So, yeah.
In the hotel room that you were supposed to be sleeping in.
That we were all sleeping in. Yeah. So, yeah.
Caught somebody in the act.
Yeah. So, my intuition's always right, and he hates that. But my intuition's always right. I mean, you can say that about me. Like, I'm a people person, and I can read you like a book.
I wouldn't say I hate it. I mean, not that I hate it. I don't have that gift.
Yeah.
Because I'm not that much of a people person as you are. Yeah. I spent most of my early adulthood being more of an introvert, and I've just been coming out of my shell and trying to retrain myself as I got older.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's see. So let's fast forward through those years. The childbearing years, those were rough because that's just tough, having the kids and all the stresses that come with them. All the stresses that come with it. Financial stress, stress of them having trouble in school or trouble with friends or running around to sports. I did always, we did have a good thing going where, like, as soon as I came home, the kids were mine. So you took care of the kids during the day. You did daycare to help put some money on the table at the time when we had some tough times through those years. And then I would always make sure that I did all the running around with the kids and all that. But again, I'm just struggling for, again, this unscripted podcast, but like, what was the thread that kept us together for 30 years through all the arguments and everything?
I think we were just so busy with life that we knew we could always fall back on each other. I mean, I had moments, you picked me up. You had moments, I picked you up. So we were always a team.
Yeah, and if I think about some of the worst moments that happened, even just more kind of recently, where it had to do more with like a medical issue you were going through, it's hard to describe, but I can't put any other words to it. The common thread through it all is that we really do truly love each other.
Yeah, we do truly
right?
love
Because
each other.
even in the hardest times, the thought wasn't to run away and I need to escape this. It was, oh my God, where am I going?
Yeah.
This is the person I love, although you did scare me with when you were going through that stuff with your medical stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the worst argument I ever remember, because you seemed like a different person. You had chemical imbalances going on in your body.
Yeah.
So your brain, like your brain state was altered and everything.
Yeah.
Just because of that.
Yeah. I was severely anemic. That's what it was. And I had a life-saving surgery that no one, like, this has been a complaint of mine for quite some time.
Oh, yeah.
And they would put me on depression pills. They would put me on all this. And I'm like, I just didn't feel like that was helping.
Yeah, it turns out none of that was the problem.
None of it was the problem. And so
it was just like literally you're anemic and your cells were starving for life, basically.
Yeah. And like to the point where I don't even know how many blood transfusions in my lifetime I probably needed that I should have gotten. And it only took this doctor in Florida to be like, what is wrong with you? And actually, the ER in Maryland, they were questioning it, like, what is going on? Mm-hmm. Then I fluffed it off because we had a business. And of course, I put myself at the back burner.
Yeah.
And then I had a couple of like manic episodes.
No, they would appear to be, but they really weren't.
They weren't. It's just, I literally, my body had no blood in it. Like literally, like my doctor said, I don't even know how you're standing right here.
Had we known that was a cause, you really should have been rushed to the ER, but we didn't know. We didn't know.
Yeah.
And the way you were treating me, I don't know, like anybody who, if I wasn't in love with you, that would have been it.
Yeah.
Like several times, right?
Yeah.
Because, I was like, I got what I had coming, let's say, from what I did to you when I was younger. You were just not the same person at all. And then you had the surgery and fixed all the source of that anemic problem. And now, things are so much better.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that they found that, because your whole quality of life has changed.
So if you're anyone out there, if you're, especially female, because it had to do with my cycle and stuff like that. So especially female, if you're anemic, find the source of it. Like this doctor had me go through everything to make sure that what he thought it was, and ended up being what he said he was. And I'm not even, at first he was like, oh, you're close to menopause. That's why your cycles are so heavy and stuff. And he tested me for everything. And he's like, he actually looked at you jokingly, like, you have another like 10, 15 years. You're not even premenopausal from what the tests that they ran. So then we did more tests, make sure no bleeding was somewhere else that they.
Internal organs and stuff.
Internal. Yeah. And then I went to specialist after specialist, and then this doctor would not give up on me. Like he was like, no, you can't even fly. Now I went against his advice because I had to fly because of work. But then finally I found the right OB, and he did his tests, and he literally did the same thing. He's like, I don't understand how you're standing here in front of me, because you literally have no blood in you. Like you literally have that's how severe I was. Yeah. And then I had a hysterectomy, and literally I feel like a brand new. I didn't think
you were going to say it, and you said it. You're beating around the bush quite a bit.
Yeah. I had a hysterectomy, and it was.
That was the source of all the anemic and all the blood problems. Yeah.
I was very scared. Like I was so scared because I didn't want to go into menopause. I read all the pros and cons to it. The pros did outweigh the cons.
And you've had other doctors suspect there was a problem there, but nobody kind of proven it. And also, they wanted to do things that were just barbaric, like the.
Oh yeah, the OB that my doctor finally sent me to. He's like, no, you're going to this person. I'm calling. He's going to understand what's going on. He's going to run his test.
And he was a specialist in robotic surgery.
In robotics, I mean, literally, it was just literally like someone was watching over me, because I was his last surgery.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he moved on. But so that, I mean, coming back around to the topic we're trying to stay on this episode is how we've been together for 30 years. The point of all that was like, if you find yourself being like having any symptoms like that, please go and find the right doctors.
You're not crazy.
Yeah. There was some of these going down these paths of like, not to say that there aren't people who have depression and other problems.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's a valid concern as well, if that's what you're feeling. But if you're having combinations of other symptoms and all that,
Yeah.
like it's really worth checking out and making sure, especially if you find yourself being
I mean, at
anemic.
one point, my blood count was 3.8, and my doctor,
You're supposed to be at like 14 or so.
for a woman, you're supposed to be like 17 and above.
Okay.
And I was at a 3.8. And by the time my doctor found out why and it was like, remember I got my results and he was like, I was like, it's flagged as critical. What does this mean? He's like, I don't know, call the doctor. Well, the answering service was like, oh, he doesn't do that. So I just, again, all right, well, fine. If he saw it.
Doctor was upset when he found out.
Oh my God, he was so upset that it was Halloween of last year and he admitted me.
Yeah. So he sent you to the hospital, and by then it was just barely above the
7. It was a 7.1. Yeah.
I think it was actually like a 6.8, if I remember right, because they were saying you were just barely above the level, and like she wasn't comfortable giving you.
Yeah.
Because maybe you were a 7.1. I don't remember.
The critical.
Yeah. If 7 was the minimum, whatever the minimum was, you were like 0.1 above it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
but
anyways, get help if you need. But
get help if you need it, especially if you think that you're going crazy and no one's listening. Just get yourself checked.
Yeah, the point was you really didn't have anything mental going on for all those years.
Mm-mm.
But hell if I knew that, because I was dealing with the symptoms.
Or me. I mean,
But I was dealing with symptoms that were like really difficult to deal with, let's say.
I mean, I had hand surgeries. I went way back to my carpal tunnel surgeries because my surgeon was like, we can't touch you unless you're a 7.5. And all of my hand surgeries and stuff, I was a 7.1. So just barely above. So if I had lost blood at any point, I would have been a critical condition.
So we're about out of time for this episode, but let's try to summarize. Like, I think if we did this little journey together here, and even through the darkest moments and through the most difficult arguments, I really don't know. Like, people ask sometimes for advice and stuff. I mean, the only advice I think I would ever have is being honest to yourself if you're truly, truly in love with somebody.
Yeah.
Which that answer for me has always been yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the thought of losing you or being with somebody else has always been, like, what do you say? Like, unnerving. Like, I mean, I can't think of, if I start thinking about what life would be without you, I don't know, how to define that.
Yeah.
We've become one.
Yeah. We really have. Yeah.
And so, like, that's the seed to everything. But beyond that, of course, people say you need to communicate. We really do try to communicate. If something's bothering us, we say something about it.
Yeah.
You're not always as good about that as I have become. And sometimes you deal with that differently. And we've been learning, I think we've both been learning how to be better at that.
Yeah.
At communicating and receiving a message as we get older.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you feel assaulted when somebody's just trying to communicate with you and they don't know how to communicate. And then they finally have the courage to say something just to get it out there into the world and start talking. It becomes an argument when it shouldn't. It took that other person a lot of courage to get up to say whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
But trying to see their perspective and understand it comes from a place of love, that's where the trust comes in.
Yeah.
So trust, communication, and having genuine love for somebody, I think to me has been like really the key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, yeah, we've always come back to, we love each other and it's not worth it. I mean, I come to think about it, a lot of the stuff that we argue about was kind of stupid.
Literally, in the grand scheme of things, right?
Yeah, in the scheme of things.
But emotions aren't rational, right?
Yeah. At the time, yeah.
Yeah.
I blame it that we're the babies of the family and that we are so spoiled that to this day, I mean, you're not with your siblings, but my side is still, I'm the baby. At my age, I'm still considered the baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
All right. Any closing thoughts? We're getting up to we're a little bit past the 30-minute mark.
Yeah, we missed a lot of in between there because we have so much in 30 years.
Yeah, we ended up focusing more on the immediate problems towards the end, but that's fine. We figured we'd do one of these episodes because it is a question. After we got to the 30-year mark, we do get that question quite a bit. Like, how have you guys been together for so long?
Yeah, we did counseling once. That was all right.
That counseling was really not. That counseling was because we had an issue we were both trying to deal with one of our kids. So
yeah,
and then there was some
she
counseling.
Was like, I think you should come for a session.
Yeah, I remember there was a time in our at one point in our marriage, you asked me to go to counseling with you, and I said I will go to counseling with you if you scope out somebody first and you do counseling first and go and you went to a bunch of sessions, you're like, yeah, you don't need to go. I just had some issues I needed to work out. And I was like, okay, that's fair enough. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah. That was like when we were younger. I don't
Yeah.
even think we had kids yet. Or we
No, we
maybe had
did.
one.
Yeah, we
One
did.
or two.
I think it was around the time you were getting your high school diploma.
Mm.
Yeah. It was around then. We had a lot of stresses going on and stuff. Yeah. It's what's the like perception can be a bad thing sometimes. When you see the world a certain way and can't help it because of some thoughts in your head or emotions you're going through or even depression, whatever, and then that becomes the reality. Perception is reality. That becomes a reality even when you start to look at things factually and it's not true. It's hard to convince your emotions that that's not true, right?
Yeah.
So counseling can help in those types of situations.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm glad I was willing to do it with you if we needed to. I didn't think we really needed to do couples counseling at the time. So, but we did, like you said, we did it a little later.
Yeah, we did a little later.
It's an interesting exercise. No, I don't think so either. No. Because the things they were doing there are the things we do already.
Yeah. Yeah.
We do sit down and talk to each other. The number one biggest thing is like literally when we need to talk something out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's sometimes it's uncomfortable. And I think we've gotten better at figuring out how to listen. That's right. Listening to each other.
Yeah.
It's hard sometimes to just shut your mouth and listen.
Yeah.
And really, really listen, understand the other person's perspective, not just hearing the sound, right? Thinking about the world from their point of view. And I think, you tell me if I'm wrong, but I got better at it at one point, and then I think you were a little annoyed by that because you weren't so good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you so wanted your point of view to be conveyed so strongly. I got good at listening to you and understanding your perspective, but then you wouldn't reciprocate. You just wanted to, force
argue.
you just wanted to argue. So, but a little patience. I mean, I had enough of those years of having anger management problems and not doing that for you. I just kind of gave you the time you needed to evolve also. So now we're at this great place where we're both kind of evolved and things are better. So it gets better.
It gets better. And we're together all the time.
I don't know what the threshold is. Did it take 30 years to get better? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like kind of maybe it has, because our arguments these days are nothing like they used to be. They're more like conversations and communications.
Yeah.
And we don't really have like severe arguments really. We just communicate a lot.
Yeah.
So it has gotten better and better.
Yeah.
Right.
It really has.
Yeah, we're going to wrap up this episode now. Hopefully you've enjoyed this little journey of our background in our 30-year marriage. I hope the folks listening out there, if you've got more than 30 years on us, then congratulations. If you don't, know that, hopefully if you're truly in love and it's meant to be, it'll only get better as time goes on. All right. What do you want to remind folks of, Lisa?
Like, share, and subscribe.
Oh, she's got that program like a robot. That's right. Like, share, and subscribe. Thanks, folks. I'll see you.
Bye.